Hello.
Well,
So happy ladies. How are you?
hi, good. How are you?
How are you?
We have Carrie Hewitt and Tracy Saboro.
Zaboro.
Savora.
Right. All right. Oh my God. Yay, it's what I do. Anyway, I underwent the program, the Soul Happy Technique, and it was absolutely amazing and really surprising. But we'll get into my experience. First, I want one of you guys, or both of you guys, to kind of explain the Soul Happy program.
Okay, well, so Kara and I, who have both been psychotherapists and have been therapists for decades, we were experiencing a similar situation that we were both getting frustrated with the field. You know, kind of like we felt like we didn't have the right tools to really help move people through. We just kind of thought there had to be a better way or an easier way. So we started looking into, other modalities, and we met at a hypnotherapy training conference, actually.
And this is, after decades of just practicing talk therapy, which is that's what we do. That's what we're trained in.
You're old enough to be many, many decades. But yeah, I get what you're saying, because people can talk their way around things with a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
They can manipulate, and I'm going to tell her what, even if it's subconscious, I'm going to tell her what she wants to hear.
Yeah, so we were so excited when we found out that there's been these breakthroughs, these kind of more recent breakthroughs that really actually kind of dovetail with some older theories and models, and even some ancient theories. And these newer discoveries kind of explain the older stuff.
Yeah.
And it's science. It's basically, we found that we're able to now kind of bridge science with psychology and also with spirituality. And that combination is a lot less subjective, and it feels more efficient and effective. And like I said, there's science behind it to back it up.
And faster too. And that's the part that we really thought as psychotherapists. Sometimes we were seeing people in our practices week after week after week after week, same presenting symptoms, that sort of thing. So we felt like, when we learned these new concepts of neuroscience and these new, I guess you could say it's under the umbrella of energy psychology, that's when we really felt like we were wanting to move into a different sort of direction in terms of our practices.
Yeah, so what we did, Elisa, is we took there's so many really great models out there that address this energy psychology, these exercises that you can do. That is a really great way of addressing memories now. And we studied for quite a few years, actually, we studied these different models, and we kind of took like what felt like the best pieces that we liked of each model and put it in a sequence that just really made sense to us. And we developed the Soul Happy technique.
Do you ever have disagreements with each other about what should go in and what should stay out?
Well, debates.
Yeah. We came from...
No, you didn't come to fisticuffs.
No, we didn't. It's been years now. We can hardly remember. We just like finish each other's sentences, because we've been at this for a while. So we kind of.
How long has it been in the making?
5 years.
Yeah, I think we're going on 5 years. Yeah.
That is awesome. And I'm sure you've had so many positive responses. Talk about the subconscious and how this program tackles that. I mean, you have an iceberg, and the tip of the iceberg is the conscious mind, and that's what gets us into trouble. That's what allows us to manipulate our therapists. That's what allows us to second guess ourselves, and that's the part that has the negative that analyzes the negative thoughts and so on. But I want your take on it. The experts.
Do you want to take that, or you
want? Go ahead.
When we talk about the subconscious mind, Freud was the first one. Well, actually, Freud and Carl Jung coined the term the subconscious. Actually, they referred to it as the unconscious, but we don't like the term unconscious now because it's the connotations more of when you go under anesthesia, you become unconscious.
You mix the Xanax and a six-pack, and that's it. You're unconscious.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. So we decided it's semantics, but we use the term subconscious mind, and it basically it's the energetic field that surrounds us all and that we are able to access through brainwave states. And actually there's a lot of, I was in Barnes and Noble recently, and there's a lot of new books that are being put out in the self-help section about getting to know your subconscious mind. So it is, collectively being talked about more and more. We're certainly on a wave here of understanding these new way to look at the subconscious mind and the power that it really holds in determining how we behave. And understanding that is, of course, this whole realm of understanding the neuroscience behind it. And so we're coming from a therapist's point of view, not a neuroscientific point of view. So it comes through our own psychotherapy lens, so to speak.
But basically what happened, to just kind of sum this up, is for all those years in talk therapy, we're dealing with the conscious part of the mind, which is the analytical part. And now the subconscious, which you and Kara have just talked about, we now recognize that we can go directly to where the memories are stored and meet the memories in where they're stored, in the manner in which they're stored, which is energy. And then we can scramble their energetic form. And it just takes away, it takes away like the intensity of the emotion that's attached to those memories, which give us all the really bad feelings about our past, negative experiences. And in the old-fashioned talk therapy way, we would just go over and over and over something over and over, hoping to really help kind of process people through those feelings. But that's pretty painful. It takes a while, and it's subjective. This is actually truly something we can do, like a true tool.
So the patient doesn't have to work so hard.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. I don't like to work too hard.
Yeah.
Is there any similar program, or are there any similar programs out there?
There are some, there are some thought leaders I think that we've looked to for reference. John Kehoe is a really powerful person in this field.
But the actual program itself, the technique, is a little bit unique in that, number one, we actually put it online because we wanted to, we really wanted to reach a large amount of people in an area that is kind of a universal issue, which is insecurities. I would say the one program that's out there that's a little similar to this, but it's not done online, it's done one-on-one, is one of the ways we were trained, and it's called RRT. And it's specifically for real trauma. Okay.
Actually, sexual trauma. Yeah. So that's what we were trained in, and then we took our own understandings of RRT and neuro-linguistic programming and basic tools of hypnosis, and even the law of attraction. That new age term. So we've taken facets of all of those and developed our own sequence. So we're unique in that way. We don't know of any but one who has done what we've done.
I've never seen anybody. Have y'all actually done the program personally?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yes.
Awesome. And what did you feel about it?
So this is the joke. Kara teases me that I'm almost like a little crack addict. This right here is peppermint oil. So if you know, Lisa, we use the senses to reprogram the subconscious from the negativity to positivity. And one of the things we use for the senses is a scent. So this little peppermint oil, represents me at my highest potential. And, when I'm going out into the world, going out in my day, and if I'm going into things that are intimidating me, or maybe are making me feel a little bit insecure, carrot seed is, I carry this.
She's got it in her pocket.
Wait, I got it so little because I have it in my pocket, and I'll just like whip it out and I'll be like, and it's like I'm, I'm an addict, but it really, to me, I'm continually trying to encourage the imprinting of those positive scenarios. And the other thing I use it for is when I've just had a good scenario. Let's say I come out, well, Carrie and I have been giving talks and stuff. And let's say we come out of a speech and I feel good about the way it went. I'll use it to imprint. And it's all just reinforcing the neural pathways in my brain of positivity.
Well,
if
you smell the peppermint scent when you're feeling insecure, won't it imprint that?
Okay, so the point of when we did the imprint in the technique, do you recall doing the imprint?
Oh yeah.
So the subconscious mind knows what this represents. It now represents you at your highest potential, in your best, winning scenario, at your optimal. And so both times it puts you in your optimal.
So essentially you are triggering your subconscious to remember that highest potential.
Okay, yeah. And of course there's a symbol you imagine, and then that's a part of your body. I won't give away proprietary secrets, but it's, it's not some nasty part of your body, whatever. I don't know where am I going with this?
The touch. Yeah.
Right. Touch is certain, you have a choice.
Meridian point.
Touch, yeah. And it's so cool that you guys texted me to remind me to do the imprinting when it got to the imprinting part, the end of the program. So
that's the repetition piece, that to really, if the science behind it is we're capable of actually forming new neural pathways, and now what we're really trying to do is get rid of old negative neural pathways and reprogram new positive ones. It requires repetition. That's how those negative neural pathways got there in the first place. We repeatedly have experienced past negative memories, failures, disappointments, whatever it might be. It's an accumulation of a lifetime of negative experiences that form those neural pathways. Well, now we need repetition to have it be the positive version. Yeah. And this repetition, it's called mental rehearsal, and that's the piece that Elisa was just referring to.
That's right. So you could just do the scent. You don't have to do the visualization and touch. The other thing?
Oh, so there's four. There's a symbol, so a visual. Yeah, the visual, the mantra, the scent, and the touch.
Right.
All four are, because they're using the senses. All four are the language of the subconscious. So it's really reinforcing. But if I'll be honest, for some reason this just became easy. Yeah. So I to be honest with you, I would say I've used the scent more than anything else, just because it's a little bit easy. I don't always have that symbol around, or the other one that's really easy, of course, is the mantra. Well,
they're all really easy.
You can do any or all.
Yeah,
you can do any or all. It is true that I pretty much do this one.
Yeah, she snorts.
It's the easy button. All right, so the sense of smell. There's something about that, right? Isn't it more? Is it more primal, more hooked up to the, I don't know, amygdala or whatever? I mean, I've heard something about that.
Yeah. Well, in the simplest of terms, let's just put it this way: the senses are the way that the subconscious mind gets information. Yeah. That's how it works, and through those senses, the senses become almost like our antenna for speaking with the subconscious mind. And so if we know that, why would not we use that in order to reprogram? It just makes sense.
So like, and the other thing about the scent, I guess, so like for instance, we recommend peppermint oil. You don't have to use that, but peppermint oil happens to stimulate the hippocampus, which is memory and recall. So I kind of think that that seems to, you know, go well with what we're trying to accomplish.
I need to bathe myself every day in peppermint oil, though. I know. All right. So, but is it the most primal of the senses, or not?
You know, I guess I'm not really sure about that. I'd have
Yeah.
to research it.
Yeah.
You know, I do know a scent. Don't you know you could be walking down the street and you smell a perfume that just takes you right back to like say you use perfume or an old boyfriend's cologne or but you know it's true about music too though, which would be auditory. You know, or the mantra, you know, you hear a song and it reminds you of like I don't know, remind you of like an old boyfriend.
High school dance.
Yeah,
that's what has happened to me. Yeah.
So
I'm not sure about that.
The mantra, you know, that is the auditory component.
Right.
But you don't have to say it out loud and hear it, right? You just hear it in your mind.
You don't have to say it out loud. But you know, it's interesting that we're talking about this because we were interviewed recently by someone on a podcast who said, you know, I'm surprised you didn't incorporate music somehow into this. And, you know, we used a mantra because it's very specific and you use it and it's quick. But it is true that like songs and music, there is a lot that is programmed into our mind from songs for sure.
How would you choose the music though?
I know. See, that's it feels a little.
I mean, some music, it's like, you know, my husband has the radio on and they're playing some song and all of a sudden I realize that I'm being so aggravated by it. It's like, oh my God, turn it off.
Yeah.
We don't need to be triggered by our little therapeutic technique.
No, I don't know about that. But, well, before I go on about music-related stuff, do emotions also, is that also something that speaks to the subconscious or is it just the senses?
You know, will you repeat that? We lost you for a second.
Oh, okay. Does the subconscious also gather information not only from the senses, but from emotions also?
Oh, absolutely. Well, you know, if you think about, so the subconscious mind is often programmed for a lot of times, and this is really a longer conversation about the primitive versus the more evolved mind, the human mind versus the primitive mind. But if you think about how trauma or a negative past experience really gets programmed. So when something negative happens to you, you become programmed because, again, all those senses are on high alert. And if you think about the scenarios that we've all had that happen to be these really, really traumatic experiences, if you remember them, if you recall them, you can think, well, I remember where I was. I remember what time of day it was. I remember that the sun was out or not, or whatever. You have this full alert system of what your subconscious mind took in with your senses, everything that was brought in at that time, and you remember it. And that's how trauma is stored.
But to your question, then what happens with the way it's stored is the emotions that it triggers are strongly attached. So it becomes part of the storage as well. So for instance, you know, we talk about in the technique, we talk about how we form these neural pathways get bigger and bigger, and we basically refer to them as clusters. And you can, you know, over time you build up these neuronal pathways find, you know, as you think about a memory or as you're experiencing it in real time, it's in the form of energy, a vibration going down a neural pathway is how you're experiencing it. It's how your mind is taking it in. And it's very natural. It's only natural for it to then attract similar vibrational frequencies. Those are the emotions that you referred to.
Okay.
So you're taking it in and programming it in the way Kara just described. And then the emotions come in, and before you know it, you've built up a little cluster of fear, a little cluster of shame, a little cluster of loss, and you've got all these little clusters that are just, and the interesting thing, Elisa, is everybody's clusters are, some people's are really big because they've experienced, let's just say, a lot of loss. So their loss cluster is huge, and someone else's is a little smaller. And then, so we're all unique in the way we've been programmed. We've each been programmed just with whatever our experiences have been.
Well, how many types of clusters are there?
Well,
how many emotions are there?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, well, I was thinking about music. What about binaural beats? What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Synchronized hemispheres.
Right. So the bilateral stimulation of both hemispheres of the brain, what his research has found is that when you stimulate like simultaneously one or the other, that your brain or your neurons actually are firing differently, and they're processing differently. So that's why we utilize some techniques within our technique.
Yes.
That actually help to process and break up some of those neuronal pathways.
That processing that she's talking about is a natural release. It actually releases whatever needs to be released. In fact, most of you have probably heard about the stage of sleep that's called REM, rapid eye movement. That is a natural discharging process that takes place during that little period of sleep, just for that purpose. Wow. Our brain is kind of working with us.
Fascinating. That's like EMDR in a way that we use on vets with PTSD, and of course anybody with PTSD.
Yeah, it's very, very effective for PTSD. I'm actually trained in EMDR, and it is a really, really effective technique for PTSD.
Yeah, it's really so powerful. Okay, Tracy, you want to share your story? I mean, Kara, do you want to share your story?
My story of my process through the technique.
Yeah.
So I have one that's pretty specific. When I was young, I had an experience where I made a little gift for a neighbor, and this gift was something I made in kindergarten class, and it meant something to me. So my teacher, I remember her saying, well, just go give it, be nice and go take that to a neighbor. And so that's what I did. So I went and I rang the doorbell of my neighbor, and this lady came to the door after me ringing it twice, because she didn't come at first. And she proceeded to just scream at me for waking her up.
Oh, God.
And telling me what a bad girl I was.
And she was like 7,
No, I was younger than that. I was like 6. I was probably 6 years old.
Oh gosh.
And so I dropped it was, one of those handprints that you make plaster.
Yeah.
Okay, so I dropped it, shattered, and I ran down her driveway. It was like a hill. So I ran down the driveway screaming, crying, going back to my house because she scared me so much.
Oh.
Well, okay, from then on, I was the one that couldn't sell cookies in Girl Scouts because I couldn't ring a doorbell.
Trick or treat must have been terrible for you.
I couldn't trick or treat. I couldn't go to any doorbell. So the doorbell became the phobic symbol, so to speak, for my subconscious to be triggered to say, what that means is if you ring a doorbell, you're gonna some authority figure's gonna yell at you.
Well, shame you.
So I ended up, through the years, I was sitting in the back of the room, wouldn't raise my hand. It kind of evolved into this because I was so young, and it happened when I was so young, that I continually didn't want to be seen, or didn't want to. In the back of the room, I was the one who didn't want to speak up and raise my hand. So
because
metaphorical doorbell, you didn't want to ring that.
And because she was programmed with that, with fear, shame, and then over time, like we said, that cluster got bigger and bigger with other little examples of shaming experiences, and now she viewed authority figures through this lens of this particular program, and before you know it, like she said, she's sitting in the back of the room in class and really is someone who won't put herself out there. They're related.
Yeah, they're like dust bunnies. You start out with a little piece of dust, and then another shame trigger attaches, and it gets to be this big dust bunny under your bed.
Yeah, it just builds and builds. And for me, it was very apparent. When I could look at it now, I can see where that one event just had such an impact on the way I went through school and the way I was viewed. And I became much of an introvert. And through this technique, not only did I have these realizations, but when I can think of that incident now, there's no emotion whatsoever. It's gone. I can speak of the memory.
Yeah.
And I can remember it well. I mean, I can tell you this lady had pink sponge rollers in her hair. Oh, and I can tell you that she had a fluffy robe, and it had like this little, like it was worn down. It had a little applique right here. But I can't bring up the emotion that I once had.
Well, the fashion police ought to shame her.
Yeah, they should. I think she's got to be dead by now.
Yeah.
Or she's listening, and now she feels bad.
She should feel bad.
But she might have been a relationship villain that you contracted with before incarnating that got you on this path.
Yeah, it could be. That's how I look at life, so it could be.
Yeah, you got to. All right, so is this something that you could do? What if somebody has so many traumatic experiences or memories?
So like we said, because we decided to make it less intense, and less about true trauma, and we made it more about this kind of universal condition of insecurity, so that when you do it at home, in the privacy of your own home, you're dealing with emotions that aren't maybe quite so intense, like you just said. But recently, we've added a one-on-one version of this, where we're still doing it in the privacy of your own home, but we're doing it through Skype, so that we're helping those of you out there who maybe are dealing with more true trauma. Where you kind of feel like you don't know that you want to just kind of do this so self-directed and on your own.
Yeah.
So we've tried to address the two, because the one might require a little more. Look, if those clusters are real big, you might have to do a little bit more of the clearing exercises to bust up those clusters than someone else has to do.
Onion layers to peel.
Right. Like when I was doing it, I did it more for the purpose of insecurities and trying to just be the better version of myself, trying to increase my potential. But for somebody out there who's really maybe addressing some real severe abuse, we would recommend more of the one-on-one, so that we can help guide someone through it. It's just kind of that little more intense version of somebody who might need that. We don't really say that the Soul Happy technique it really wasn't made for trauma, for true trauma.
No, we really recommend a licensed therapist for that kind of.
Or a blend of the two. So can't you just try the Soul Happy technique, and if you still have some emotional charge, then do the one-on-one?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a couple ways. For instance, we have, when we were developing it, we worked with quite a few local therapists, and that's how we got some of the clients we were practicing on, because they were, so they would continue to work with their therapist, but this was just something that could be used maybe to kind of get them unstuck in a certain area if they were just kind of, they had plateaued a little bit.
Yeah, we look at it as an adjunct to the therapeutic process for others, who specifically are dealing with trauma.
Yeah, well, I think, is there some sort of maintenance? Like, do we need tune-ups every once in a while? Redos?
So what we kind of like about the fact is, when you buy this technique and you have it at home, it's yours. So sometimes if somebody does feel like they need a little tune-up, and they feel like they want to go back and do those clearing exercises again, they could do that a year from now, 5 years from now.
Trauma or a new, really.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the one of the sessions is almost more like a little bit of a guided, a little bit like a guided meditation. We've heard people say that they use that when like people who really can't meditate very well, they try, but
They're
they have
using it quite a
they're
bit.
using it. We heard from one woman who's using it daily. That's just her meditation. She goes to session 3 and just does it every day.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. I love that one. That was so surprising and just so unique. It's so cool the way it makes you feel. My experience is that, just like you said, the emotional charge has all but gone on. Like when I think about Erik and that one day, or
Mhm.
my childhood and things like that, it's just like completely released. Like you said, you can just talk about it. That's no problem. You can describe everything, but there's not that icky feeling in your solar plexus or your heart.
Yeah.
Really? So you did get some relief.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's
Yeah,
great.
that's great.
And you know, I think it's relative. People have different experiences. Some people, it's almost like a process that takes place and it gets stronger over time.
yeah.
And then other people, it's kind of immediate. And I kind of think that might have something to do with the level of like trauma versus maybe not as traumatic. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
there was one woman who said she was so excited about the fact that she did it right before Christmas, and she was heading off to spend a week at her daughter's, and her son-in-law always rubbed her wrong, and she said she just went equipped with her tools, and
All
she said
right.
like she enjoyed him. She's like, I enjoyed the guy for the first time in years.
Wow. I found that to be true also. My relationships seem to be better, and I just feel more energy, happier most of the time. I did have trouble because this is me, okay, visualizing the symbol. So I had to, like you recommended, open my eyes and see one while I was doing that, instead of closing my eyes and seeing it in my mind.
Mhm.
Oh, and so that brings us back to the question you had earlier, is the scent more primal? Really what might be more important is really some people are just more visual,
Yeah.
some people are more auditory.
Oh yeah.
So it is funny
Yeah.
it is funny that I went to the scent. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
I don't look at the symbol either.
Yeah.
And am I maybe not as visual of a learner? I'm not sure. Some people know, like, well, I'm
Yeah.
more auditory or I'm more visual. So you're just not a visual person, possibly
Yeah.
in this regards. So you know what? Don't even bother with it. Just don't even bother with the symbol if it's causing you a little bit of, it's not natural for you somehow. Pick something
Yeah.
that's
You got 3 others.
natural.
So.
You got 3 others.
Oh, I can
Yeah.
look at it as long as I look at it instead of getting it in my mind's eye. That's where I had the trouble. But I think
Gotcha.
it's really great that this program, you don't have a huge time investment like you do with therapy sessions. They can go on for years and years and years and go nowhere. That's one. I mean, how long is it? I can't remember. It's
What's
Well, the
it's
3 sessions are,
4?
yeah, well, yeah, the education one, they normally have that first, but the 3 sessions require, it depends on how long you take to go through each one,
right.
but,
I mean, they're under an hour.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. I think I did 20 minutes.
Yeah, and you can, like we said, you can also go back and revisit it if you need to down the road, but it's not, weekly, hour long weekly sessions where you have to drive to the
Drive,
therapist
you
office.
drive everywhere. I mean, you can do it naked if you want. You don't have to dress up to impress your therapist, or. So there
Yeah,
are many things that. Plus, it's really inexpensive compared to
Yeah.
therapy too.
yeah. We that's all by design. I mean, we're at a point in our careers where we thought, you know what, we want this to be available to anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really want to give back. We really feel like we're in service. I mean, as corny as that sounds, we feel like this is a way to reach so many more people.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's it's more effective, it's quicker, it's easier,
Yes.
it's less painful. So, we just,
And you can be in your pajamas and you're in your bed at home where no one has to be, around. That's the thing we love about it.
That is awesome. Like that guy. trying to get a mortgage in his living room in his PJs.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, that's right.
how
I
much,
saw that.
how much does it cost?
Well, for
189.
but
That,
but for Erik people.
oh, but that's for your entire.
It's for the entire program, 189, and then you've got it to revisit it. You don't have to go spend another 189 a year from now if you kind of want to brush up on it. You've got it.
That's
And for our Erik community,
Yeah.
with $25 off for code ERIK.
Oh, that's so sweet of you guys. I just think that truthfully, everybody should do this. Maybe you're right with people with severe trauma. They should at least try it first, because I think, it can help you in your career, your outlook on life, your relationships will get better. I mean, there's so many facets in life that can be improved with this. I mean, getting rid of those negative thoughts and replacing them with positive ones. Who would not benefit from that? Seriously.
Well, you know what? We don't even know what we don't know. We don't even know that the subconscious mind has been programmed so negatively that that's often a default.
Yeah.
You're just doing what you do. You're going through life and you're doing what you do, and it's working against you. So anybody would benefit from this.
Right. I mean,
And then some people.
Yeah, you may feel like, oh, I'm doing okay,
Yeah.
but maybe you're not completely at your full potential.
Exactly.
And I think, truthfully, this probably helps people manifest their reality better. The law of attraction kind of thing. Manifest abundance and love and whatever they want.
So Kara,
I've often thought, because that particularly that session 4, the imprinting one, which we've talked about this in all of this, where you program with the senses. This is like, to me, I think about this is like the law of attraction on steroids. Wow. So you're utilizing the senses. A lot of people, there's a lot of hype about, you got your vision boards in your closet that you haven't looked at for years, right? From all of the movie, The Secret and all that. It's all good stuff, but they forgot about the subconscious mind. Yeah. So now we are marrying these two, and truly, you hit the nail on the head for what we understand. If you can utilize at least that imprinting session 4, when you do these law of attraction type of techniques that are out there, oh my gosh, you're just augmenting what you already know about that.
And there's that 17-second thing where it takes 17 seconds to collapse to take a wave, collapse the Schrodinger wave equation, and make it into a particle, i.e., thought creates reality.
Right.
So, it's 17 seconds a day. I don't know why I'm bringing that up.
No, you're right though. We heard about that, and I think it would be nice to somehow implement that in a future session, because the 17-second rule is again the science behind manifesting something into form. Right. And so what Kara was just saying about session 4, once you've cleared out that negativity, which the secret, that's one thing that it didn't address. Right. That if you want to keep trying to manifest this positivity, and you keep doing that, but you've got the subconscious in the back of the mind programmed. Let's say somebody's trying to manifest feeling better about themselves. So, they're manifesting this, I am pretty, and they're, and it's positive affirmations and the power of positive thinking, and they're doing all of that. What they don't even know, what I was saying earlier, we don't know what we don't know. They don't know that the subconscious is in the back of the mind programmed, going, oh no, you're not. Whoa. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking of an old client.
That kid on the playground, Billy, he called you.
Yeah.
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 Yep. The woman I'm thinking of, an old client who was actually beautiful. Her father had been so critical of her growing up, and that's what was programmed. So she just could never, positive affirmations or like the law of attraction of trying to, bring love into your life, but you don't feel love for yourself. That's the piece, the negative piece that's working against you, that this technique addresses. So once you clear up that negativity,
Yeah.
the other flows more
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah.
Right.
And that session 4, once you clear out the negativity, the session 4 you could almost repeat over and over as a
again.
law of attraction exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the most important things that the soul happy technique does is help you love yourself. And let me tell you, that is the foundation for everything in life, for success, abundance, relationships, everything. So even if you think you kind of love yourself, you never know what your conscious is hiding from you. So,
That's like the biggest compliment we could have
that's
gotten.
wonderful, Lisa. Thank you. That's sweet. Yeah, I mean that's our goal. We truly are doing our very best to get this message out, and it is.
I mean, we just want to give the world a hug.
Yeah, I mean,
and we're psychotherapists, but really your community and there's a lot of us in your community who know that really what you just said, love is the universe is love. And love.
That's all there is. We are love. The collective, which we are one and whole of, is love. So, I mean, gosh, I think that's the most important reason to do the soul happy technique is to learn to understand that you are love and you are deserving of love. And imagine what the ripple effect that can cause to others, because when you love yourself, you're going to help people all over the world. 6 degrees of separation, whatever.
Yeah,
that is going to be to bring more love into the world. So
you just summed up what we had in mind
while we were developing
5 years ago, and we've never stopped, have we? Mm-mm. We're on a mission.
Yeah. I'm looking into, I heard the 17 second thing, and I'm looking into doing that with binaural beats for manifestation, because I'm trying to manifest something cool. So anyway,
you'll have to let us know how that goes. That's
on my to-do list. Anyway, where can they find this program?
Soulhappy.com.
That's so easy.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Okay, well, any other information you want to share before we close?
Remember the code Erik with the K, and you'll get $25 off.
Yeah.
And
I just in your work, you're going to help so many people. Of course, you can drag a horse to the water, but you guys got to drink, and it's not cooling.
Right. That's right.
And so, Elisa, we just really appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.
Grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Love you guys.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.